Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm here today with just a little recap of what I've been up to over the last month. So it's sort of the end of June and going into July. So I've got some books here to talk about and some tarot cards and a couple of YouTube channels that I've recently discovered, some TV. I've got a few things on my list. So if you watched the video that I did last month of what I'd been doing, you'll have seen that I'd started on the Raven Boys. There's 4 books in this series by Maggie, and she's the creator of the Raven's Prophecy tarot deck. And I'd been wanting to read these books for ages, and I recently bought them, and I have now read all 4 of the books. And excuse me, sorry about that, I had to dash. My cat was dangerously close to some birds in the garden, pesky cat, so I had to dash and get him in. So yeah, anyway, I have finished reading The Raven Boys by Maggie, and I just love them. I actually cried on the last book that I read. I actually cried. There's just everything in these books. There's romance, mystery, magic. You know, I think these were written for sort of older teenagers, which is fine. I don't, a lot of the books that are written for young people are brilliant. I love these books. I can't recommend them highly enough. I don't think they've particularly added anything much to my experience with the Raven's Prophecy tarot deck, but I'm so glad that I bought them and I read them, and I shall probably read them again. So there's that. And what I've now started on is this book here called Half Bad. This is by Sally Green. This is part of a trilogy, and this comes from the series that's recently been on TV. You might well have seen it. It doesn't say anything about it here, does it? Does it say anything about it? I don't think it does it? No. It doesn't really say anything about the TV programme, but where I first discovered this was on Netflix. There is a series called The Bastard Son of the Devil Himself, I think, and I really enjoyed that. It's about witches, white witches, black witches, different families, all the dynamics going on, and in particular this poor lad, Nathan Byrne. Nathan Byrne is half bad. He's half white witch, half black witch. His mother was a healer. His father is a killer. He's wanted by no one but hunted by everyone. So as you can see, very exciting. There's all sorts of stuff goes on in here. So I'm not too far into this book, as you can see. Not too far into it, but I'm loving it. It's just like the TV programme, and I've bought all 3 books in the series, so I would expect by the time I next do one of these videos I will have finished them, or at least be nearly there anyway. So there's that, Half Bad. And the other books, and I won't read these cover to cover, but I am flicking through them, is these 2 books. And excuse me, would you believe these were sent to me as a prize? Well, I chose them as a prize. I've been paying into the postcode lottery in the UK for years and years, and I've won the odd sort of £10 here or there, but never a big prize. But I think they've recently started to give away actual prizes, not just money. And there was quite a few books and a few sort of odd things you could choose from, and I chose this set of books. One is How to Read Water, Clues and Patterns from the Puddles to the Sea, and the other one is The Walker's Guide to Outdoor Clues and Signs. Now, while I realise with my health issues I'm not a great walker, I'm not somebody who'll trek for miles and miles across the countryside anymore, unfortunately, but I am absolutely fascinated with this sort of stuff. It says here, the ultimate guide to what the land, sun, moon, stars, trees, plants, animals, skies and clouds can reveal when you know what to look for. This is the result of Tristan Gooley's 2 decades of pioneering outdoors experience and 6 years of instructing, researching and writing. As well as the most comprehensive guide to natural navigation for walkers, it also contains clues for weather forecasting, tracking, city walks, coast walks, night walks and dozens of other areas. And I have flicked through it and it is absolutely fascinating. Some of the stuff here about plants particularly, you know, about leaves, trees. So this will be a book that I'll sort of pick up and put down and flick through, but I love this kind of thing. And this one again, oops, sorry, is by Tristan Gooley, and it says, this study of the behaviour of rivers, lakes and seas brims over with astonishing facts. His observational skills can be breathtaking. The quirks and habits and secrets of good old H2O were crying out to have a book written about them. What else have we got here? He writes with passion, humour and clarity and engages so deeply with the tributaries of inquiry that reading it feels as exhilarating as being towed by a dolphin. There's so much here that I can't do it justice. Chapters on water at night, currents and tides, reading waves, the coast. This is an absolute gem of a book, a must-have for anyone who loves the water. I'm not a big fan of the sea, as you probably have heard me say in the past, but I love rivers, I love lakes, and I'm just fascinated with the natural world in general, really. So this kind of thing for me is another book that I will pick up and put down, and I'm sure I'll learn some really, really interesting little facts and things. You know, there's a whole chapter there on puddles, for instance. It's just fascinating to me. So yeah, they're my books. So there's plenty for me to be getting on with, isn't it? With my tarot cards, I think the last video I did, I showed you about maybe 8 decks that I'd edged over the period of about a month. Well, I haven't been nearly as productive, thankfully, this month. I've edged 3 decks, and I've done them while I've been sat watching TV, which some days is necessary for my mind to keep my mind calm and focused. But other times I've recognised is actually a way of me kind of sabotaging my relaxation time, if you know what I mean. So I need to be careful about what I'm doing. But anyway, this is the Pensive Path. This is one of my favourite, absolute favourite little decks, and I really was not sure about edging it, but I did in the end. And I've done it this sort of antiqued bronze or copper. I think it's maybe bronze, I think is what it was. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with that. I think it goes well with the actual cards themselves. So there's those. And I did those with a Sharpie, actually, with a metallic Sharpie. The next deck that I decided to edge is the Black Cat's Tarot. And I was so pleased with these. These came out fantastically well. This is the back of the cards. the front of the cards if you've not seen them before. It's a really cool deck, actually. I really, I don't use it too often, but when I do, it's a good reader, Black Cat's Tarot. There's a lot of humour in this deck, I find, actually. There's the lovely backs that have got this gorgeous sort of blue on, and that's what I've edged them with. It was supposed to be navy blue on the pen that I bought, but I don't think it's quite navy, is it? But nonetheless, I'm extremely pleased with those. And they edged really nicely. Oh, I can't get them back in the box. Because as I'm discovering, some cards take edging really well and some do not. And the other deck that I edged is the Tarot of Pagan Cats, which, again, I'm so chuffed. These have come out really, really beautifully well. This is the back of the deck and the front, if you've not seen them before. They're really, really pretty, lovely cat deck. Again, one of my absolute favourites, actually. A really clear reader. Quite an emotional deck. I really like it. And I've edged it. I think the pen was called Violet, the colour of the pen. And it has come out pretty close, actually, to the back of the cards, hasn't it? So, again, I'm really, really pleased with those. And they edged really nicely. So that's my edging that I've done. I don't know that every single month I will edge decks, but I've been it's been a bit of an obsession recently, so that's why I've been at it. What else? So the decks that I've bought this month, you will have probably seen, I've done a series of 3 videos looking at the before, during, after and tarot of the new vision, and I bought the before tarot and the after tarot second hand off eBay. Really, really pleased with those. They came looking like they'd never been used before, like they were perfect. I was really, really chuffed with those. But in contrast, I also bought this deck second hand from eBay, and it's the Bauer Tarot, isn't it? Is that the word? The John Bauer Tarot, that's it. Yeah, I've put the box in the cupboard for this. And this, I was supposed to be buying this second hand from somebody on eBay, and it arrived and it was all sectioned off, maybe this many cards, and they were all cellophane wrapped, and they were from the Learn Tarot magazine, I think it's called, if I remember rightly, the Learn Tarot magazine. So they were not used, they were new, but they were from a magazine. And although the cards are in good condition, they did come slightly sort of bent. That I've been trying to squash them and flatten them. They were sort of more bent like that, and I've been putting them under a pile of books and trying to flatten them, because it really annoys me when tarot cards curl and bend. So I wasn't particularly happy about that, and I also wasn't particularly happy that the seller of this deck had listed them as used, when in fact they were from a magazine, you know. I've never bought the Learn Tarot magazine, so I don't know whether this is the proper deck or not. I would imagine it must be. They wouldn't be knockoffs with a magazine like that, would they? It's such a beautiful deck. I'm so chuffed with it. I've really not done a lot with it so far. I've not used it much more than sort of shuffle it and flick through it. It is beautiful. It's a real storytelling deck, but it's so small. You know, considering the cards themselves are relatively small, the picture is tiny, isn't it? There's such a big border around them. I wish they were borderless and the picture took up the entire card. That would be nice. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I probably would need to spend more time with these cards, I think, and do an actual proper study and read them in different ways. They're not feeling as if they will just read without that, if you know what I mean. You know, I don't know. They're beautiful cards, beautiful images, but yeah, I think I'm going to need to spend some proper time with them, really. But yeah, I mean, they look very much like a deck of cards you could buy from Amazon or any other shop. So I'm hoping that I haven't bought a knockoff or anything like that. Yeah. So it just goes to show, doesn't it, when you're buying things secondhand, you just don't ever really quite know what you're going to get, do you? I also this month bought this Smithweight Centennial edition in a tin. This was new. It was properly cellophaned. It was from eBay again, but it was only £10. I don't know how I've managed to buy it so cheaply. And I've only bought it really because I love anything Smithweight. I love anything Rider-Waite Smith. And I love tarot decks in tins. So, so yeah, it's a really, really cute little deck. I like it very much. Really pretty backs. And it was nice that you actually get a couple of little cards here that, you know, are the original drawings from Pamela Coleman Smith. From other stories and other tales, I suppose, aren't they? But yeah, I can see myself using these for sure. I think sometimes when I clarify a tarot reading, I like to use a smaller little deck to clarify them. So I'm sure I'll be using that quite regularly. I mean, for £10, I'm really pleased with that. And then the third deck I have bought, and this has been on my wish list for so long, is the Tarot of Mystical Moments by Catherine Wells Stein. I haven't done a walkthrough on my channel of these or a first impressions video or anything, just because I know so many of you have this beautiful deck that look at the silver gilding. How lovely is that? I know so many of you have this deck. I've seen so many people do walkthroughs and readings with it. Again, I haven't spent a great deal of time with it. It only came a week or so ago. I've had a quick flick through. I know that there's extra cards in here for some of the court cards, and like the Emperor has a male and a female equivalent card. Not sure how I feel about that, really. I suppose I'm relatively old-fashioned in the male and female, you know, the duality of male and female. I like to see that reflected in the tarot cards, and I don't really see the need for traditionally male cards to be portrayed as female or feminine in any way. Like we have the King of Pentacles here, and we've got it as a male card and a female card. They're both beautiful, but I don't really know whether the deck needs these sort of female representations. I don't know. I could come in for a lot of flack from people about that, couldn't I? I don't know. I mean, I'm going to be 55 this year. I just, you know, like I said, one of the things that I really do like about tarot is that duality, those polarities, the integration of opposites. And how can you have that if the entire deck is feminine? I don't know. I think it is likely I shall probably take out the cards from this deck that are feminine, and I shall keep the kings as kings and the emperor as emperor. I think it is quite likely, but I still absolutely adore this deck already. I'd fallen in love with it before I bought it, to be honest, just from seeing it on other people's channels so much. Again, we've got here this King of Wands as male and female. And isn't it beautiful? Her in a lovely red dress with her wand. But I just don't see that it's necessary. We have a queen. You know, I don't know. I'll shut up, I think. I'll shut up. So they're the decks that I've edged. They're the decks that I've bought. I don't actually know what I'm going to work with particularly this month. As we go, as we finish July and go into August. I've also done a little reading recently using my reincarnation cards because, well, I just felt really drawn to, I felt really inspired to, and I'm glad I did. So I may continue a little bit down that road this month. I may journal a little bit with some reincarnation cards. I may do a deck interview with the Tarot of Mystical Moments, and perhaps even the John Bower Tarot as well. I'm not really sure what I'm going to get up to. It's summer, isn't it? I've got a fair bit going on at home. I'm sort of gradually trying to declutter and pack because I could move any time over the next few months. So I'm quite keen not to overload myself with things to do. I did a little video the other day just reading out an article from my ME support newsletter, which was about productivity versus rest. And I still struggle an awful lot with feelings of needing to be productive. I must so it's really important that when I have lots of things going on in life that I'm kind to myself and I give myself space and breaks and rest, and I don't push myself to be productive. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to get up to. I have got what have I got on pre-order that should be coming soon? The new Borderless Tarot of the Moon Garden, which I absolutely cannot wait for. I pre-ordered that some time ago and I'm really excited about that. I think that's all I've got on pre-order that's coming up. Yeah. What else have I been doing this month? I've been watching Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know whether any of you are familiar with it. It's on the History Channel. I think it's in its 4th season. It's just fascinating. I'm obsessed with it. It's about a ranch in Utah where all of these things have been happening for decades. It was owned by Robert Bigelow, I think, many years ago. The NASA have been involved with it, the government in lots of ways. There's been all kinds of UFO activity, cryptozoology, all sorts of weird phenomena and occurrences happening on this ranch. The History Channel are annoying. I think they, just in the same way as with Ancient Aliens, the series of programs they've done, the subject matter is fascinating, but I don't enjoy the way that the History Channel presents. So I think it's Prometheus, actually. I don't really enjoy the way they present their shows. They're a bit overly dramatic a lot of the time, which makes you think that perhaps what you're watching is drama and not real. And I don't know, I don't really enjoy the way that these shows are produced or shown, but the subject matter itself is mind-blowing. It's fascinating. And this latest series, the things that they've been discovering on this ranch, you know, they're talking about wormholes. They've been seeing UFOs kind of almost appear out of nowhere in the sky and then disappear into nowhere. And they've had all sorts of experts come and conduct all sorts of experiments, and it's a very genuine thing, and it's very fascinating. I love it. So if any of you are watching Skinwalker Ranch, I would love to hear what you think about it. What else have I been watching? I've been a bit obsessed with fairies and the fae folk just recently, and I found on YouTube a channel called the Modern Fairy Sightings Podcast, and I will link this in the description box. And it's a UK channel. It's a lady in the UK, and she's basically interviewing lots of people that have had fairy sightings, that have got stories to tell. You know, she tells tales of folklore and things like that. And I've really, really enjoyed catching up with her channel. And just in the last few days, I've discovered another channel as well called Fairy Quest, which was recommended on YouTube. And this lady, she's been photographing fairies for years, and she shows a lot of these photographs on her channel, and that's absolutely fascinating as well. So I've really, really been enjoying that. I think on the Modern Fairy Sighting podcast, she had interviewed Professor Ronald Hutton, who you may or may not have heard of. He's a very, very knowledgeable historian in the UK, and I've watched him lecture about pagan gods and goddesses in England. He had an experience with the Fae himself, and he tells his own story on this podcast. But I think he's a university lecturer. He's quite old now, and he's been lecturing for decades about pagan Britain, really, and the gods and goddesses and sort of supernatural elements, spiritual elements of that. So he's a really interesting man to look at as well. His name is Ronald Hutton. So I think that's about it, really. I think that is my June into July. Like I said, I don't really know what I'm going to do with myself for the end of July, moving into August. I've done a lot of videos in this month, I've realised. I think I've done 8 videos in the last fortnight, which is a lot for me, and I think speaks a lot of my need to feel productive, doesn't it? So maybe I should listen to my own advice and give myself a proper rest. So anyway, please do say hello. I love to catch up with everybody. It's, you know, my favourite thing about YouTube really is my connections with people and being able to share stuff. So please do say hello, and I shall catch up with you all again soon. Thank you.